Let's start with a weekend for combat sports. What a weekend it was. UFC 244 headlined Saturday night right here in New York City. The stars were out, including President Donald Trump at the world's most famous arena. It certainly made it difficult to navigate around Madison Square Garden with all the Secret Service. For fans and media alike, it was well worth it. The entire card was pretty darn good, highlighted by a couple of incredible knockouts in the prelims leading up to the co-main event. Friday night set the table for Saturday's showdown between Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz. Our BronxNet cameras and a limited amount of media got an opportunity before the weigh-ins to see the BMF belt up close and before anyone else. Check out this footage, the baddest mother bleep in the game. UFC President Dana White said the belt cost $50,000 to make. Pretty cool spinoff of the UFC's main championship belt. Friday night also brought more hoopla with the introduction of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, into the frenzy. The pro wrestler turned actor, a big UFC fan, would bestow the BMF belt to the winner on Saturday night. His inclusion also brought some big news. The Rock has found his new project. He will star as MMA fighter and UFC champ Mark Kerr. Roll it.
New York City, Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in the world, and an arena that I have such a profound respect for. I started my career here in New York City. I had my very first wrestling match in Madison Square Garden, and that crowd, that arena, and this city embraced me like a son, like I know you guys are going to embrace that main event and all the fighters tomorrow night. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Kerr is an interesting role for The Rock, and Saturday night's finale was interesting to say the least. With Trump octagon side, Masvidal and Diaz came away as bigger stars than they were before the night began, yet the fans went home very unhappy. Masvidal got the win via TKO due to a doctor's stoppage before the start of the fourth round. Diaz had a bad cut over his right eye, and the New York State Athletic Commission ringside physician advised to stop the fight. BMF goes to Gamebred this round. Here's more in an extremely early AM post-fight press conference.
I heard a lot of comments. I read a lot of media stuff, people talking about the later the fight goes, or if the fight hits the ground or in certain situations, that I'd be outworked or outclassed. Not happening. I want somebody to pull up a fight that I faded in the fourth or fifth round. That's not going to happen. What happened in the third was just going to keep happening in the fourth and in the fifth. That's exactly how we saw the fight playing out. We'll touch him up in the chin. If he's still there after I touch him up in the chin, we'll work the body and we'll go back to the chin. We'll win the wrestling scrambles. We'll win the clinch work. And he'll just get tired from the damage that we're putting out. I have one of the best gas tanks in this division. I'm going to prove it at some point against everybody. I didn't feel that I was getting tired, at all. I think he was a little bit more tired because he had to step on the gas a little harder than I did, especially with the body shots I was landing.
The UFC has really taken the sports world by storm. More on that in the C list. The boxing world belongs to Canelo Alvarez. History was made on Saturday in Las Vegas as Alvarez moved up 2 divisions and finished light heavyweight title holder Sergey Kovalev via 11th round knockout. Alvarez is now 53-1-2 with 36 knockouts. He became just the 4th Mexican fighter to win titles in 4 weight divisions and became boxing's only 3-division simultaneous champion by adding to his unified middleweight crown and secondary belt at 168 pounds. Alvarez might just be the best boxer in the world right now, the BMF of his sport. No one has had a similar 14-month stretch. He outpointed Triple G in their all-action rematch to unify the middleweight crown, moved up to 168 pounds to finish Rocky Fielding for a title, and then came back to 160 pounds in May to unify against Daniel Jacobs. Speaking of BMFs, how about Lewis Hamilton in Formula One? All he had to do was finish 8th in Sunday's U.S. Grand Prix to secure his 6th world championship, even if the only title challenger left standing, teammate Valtteri Bottas won the U.S. Grand Prix. An eighth-place finish would secure the 2019 driver's title for Hamilton, starting from fifth after an uncharacteristic qualifying performance the day before. He faced an uphill battle to even consider winning this race. But this is Lewis Hamilton we're talking about here, the greatest race car driver in the world and perhaps the GOAT. Hamilton secured his sixth title with a second-place finish. He now ranks second in Formula One history behind the German Michael Schumacher's record 7 titles. He's only 34 years old. Hamilton has won the last 3 season championships and locked this one up with 2 races remaining. Congrats to him. Just like Lewis shines every year in the U.S. Grand Prix, there's something about Texas Motor Speedway that has brought out the best in Kevin Harvick of late. For the 3rd consecutive fall playoff race at the 1.5-mile oval in Fort Worth, Texas, Harvick took the checkered flag in the middle playoff race of the round of 8. He joins Martin Truex Jr. in advancing to the NASCAR Cup Championship race 2 weeks from now in Miami. Harvick, who came into the day 5th in points and below the cut line, started on the pole and led for 119 laps to earn his 4th win of the season and assured he'll race for the championship for the 5th time in the last 6 seasons. Harvick won the first championship under the current format back in 2014. Biggest breaking news of Monday morning in motorsport, though, belongs to Roger Penske. Penske now owns IndyCar and Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The development was revealed in a media advisory this morning by the track. The board of directors of Holman and Company will announce later this morning the sale of the company and certain subsidiaries, including IndyCar, the historic speedway, and IMS Productions, to the Penske Entertainment Corporation, a subsidiary of Penske Corporation. Roger is the owner of Team Penske, which fields teams in IndyCar and NASCAR. Huge news there. Same deal in the NFL this morning. Big news. There's only one undefeated team left, and it's not the New England Patriots. Sunday night belonged to Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens quarterback led his team to an early barrage, but a long touchdown drive that started in the 3rd quarter and ended in the 4th was the thing that pushed his team to a 37-20 win over the Patriots and handed the Pats their first loss of the season. The San Francisco 49ers are the last of the unbeatens. Meanwhile, Monday Night Football features 4-3 Dallas and the 2-6 New York Football Giants. That game gets underway tonight at 8:15 p.m. at the Meadowlands. And of course, our BronxNet cameras will have you covered. Time for some quick hitters from around the world of sports. We'll stay on the gridiron, and we should make this note quick for Jets fans hurting this morning. The Miami Dolphins have ensured that they won't be the first team to have both an unbeaten and a winless season in the Super Bowl era. That comes at the expense of gangrene. Ryan Fitzpatrick threw 3 touchdowns, and the Jets continue to implode during a 26-18 Dolphins win Sunday afternoon in Miami. Both teams are now 1-7, but the Dolphins find themselves looking down at the Jets in the AFC East standing. It's gone from bad to worse for the Jets. In the NBA, the Knicks aren't far behind. They are now 1-6 following Sunday's loss to Sacramento at MSG. De'Aaron Fox scored 24 points, and the Kings routed the Orange and Blue 113-92 for their 2nd straight victory following an 0-5 start. The Brooklyn Nets host New Orleans tonight on the ice. The Rangers host Ottawa. Puck drops at 7. The Senators will play the Islanders tomorrow night right here in New York. On the baseball diamond, Aroldis Chapman is staying with the Yankees. The flame-throwing closer has his contract extended. And the Mets finally have a new manager. Former Yankee and Met Carlos Beltran will be introduced this morning. Nice pickup there by the Amazons. Beltran reportedly has a 3-year deal to manage the Mets. Those are the headlines. We hit the C-list for the combat sport that has replaced boxing at the top of the food chain. There was a time MMA wasn't allowed in New York State. Now it's the toast of it. Out in Las Vegas Saturday night, the boxing game's brightest light in the active ranks scored a brilliant 11th round knockout, but the boxing folks held off their main event so fans could watch the BMF title fight, even piping in the broadcast over the big screens at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Try to imagine that happening even 5 years ago. Travel back to 1997 when New York enacted a statewide ban on mixed martial arts. which set the dominoes in motion that nearly killed the sport. Today, the most popular boxer in the world had his fight in Las Vegas delayed until the 500th event in UFC history ended at a sold-out MSG. Add in the fact that the President of the United States was in attendance, as well as arguably Hollywood's biggest star, and you could say this is why my C-list this morning is bold and blunt. MMA and the UFC are now #1. And while the main event ended on a down note, it still didn't detract from the magnitude of the evening. It was historic, a landmark night for the UFC and especially MMA. That's your sports. This BMF signing off. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after this.